Alright, so I'm going to start this one really quick. I don't think I need to really go into anything. This is round 3. We've still got a good bit of takes to go. If you've been here for the other two, you know what's happening. I'm roading these chili or, well, chill or spicy. And that's it. I'm giving my takes on the takes themselves and what I think of them. If you want, leave some in the comments and I will get to those in future videos. People seem to like these, so we'll keep doing them. Karis has quite a few, so we'll do them like we do the other ones, one at a time. Won't write them all out. Won't write them all, but here's a few. First one being, Starlight x Trixie would be a train wreck. Starlight x Twilight, OTP. Their personalities are much more compatible. So this take is pretty spicy. I agree with it 100%. I don't think Trixie and Starlight is anywhere close to as good as Trixie and Twilight. I think that Starlight and Trixie, you see them when they're together, and if they get too much of each other, they already are just like Starlight already wants to strangle Trixie. I completely agree with that. I don't think that they make a good couple. I think Twilight and Starlight makes a lot more sense. They're just a lot more compatible. But I think that overall the fandom sees Trixie and Starlight as the couple, and that's why this is such a spicy take. Next up is Rarity is less aligned with her element than Applejack is with hers. Love Rarity though, and she still has really good moments of character development. I'd say this one is pretty chill. A lot of people view Rarity, I mean, this is all chalked up to bad writing in later seasons. It's when they start getting not restless, but what they start doing is they start having to make artificial problems for the characters to experience, and by doing so they write plots for episodes. And with Rarity and Applejack, those two are the easiest. Generosity, Rarity, oh, she wants something, she's selfish and she wants to keep something, or she wants to get something. Applejack, oh, she's lying about something. That's like super simple, and it's basic, like not hard at all to write about plots, and I think they both suffer from that. And I think a lot of people view Rarity and Applejack as to be these things. Like, oh, Rarity's not as generous as she could be, and Applejack lies sometimes. And it's like, yeah, I see that often. That's not... I think that's... Like I said, I don't think that's character flaws. I think that's writing flaws from the writers who just don't care. Next up, Starlight Glimmer's villain origin crash out was completely valid. Her backstory was good. People just don't like complex characters. So this one, from what I've seen, is pretty spicy. I don't know anyone who says that Starlight's reasoning for creating her village was completely valid and her backstory was good. I love Starlight. She's my favorite character. I don't consider her a villain. I think that if you consider her a villain, then you have to acknowledge the fact that her writing is so terrible. And it has nothing to do with complexity. It has to do with motivation. And let me say this. It's not complexity. The complexity isn't the problem. It's making sense. And it does make sense. It does make sense that Starlight she felt so betrayed by her childhood friend that she wanted to make friends for herself that would never leave. That makes sense. The issue is that she is a villain. And whenever a villain crops up, you expect, oh man, these villains are bad because of X reason. So we'll go into the reasoning behind villains real quick again. You have somebody like Darth Vader, who became a villain mostly because his mom was killed by the Tusken Raiders or whatever, and he was already experiencing dark thoughts and blah blah blah, and he murdered all of them, or killed all of them, and then he killed a bunch of children, and it's like, okay, so he crashed out because his mom died, and that's kind of understandable. And then you have other villains, you have the villains like Michael Myers, who have no motivation whatsoever, and then you have villains like, say, Obito from Naruto, who it was that whole messed up scenario where he lost his eye and he got crushed, and there's a lot of complexity behind that. The complexity is not a bad thing. The issue with Starlight isn't that she's complex, I think, to a lot of people. It's the fact that you lost your friend and now you're trying to force people to be your friends. Fine, but that's kind of lame. Nothing really has happened for you to, just make another friend. She had to have been, what, like, maybe 5 to 8 in the flashback, and like instead of being like, I'll just make more friends. And that's funny because that is the solution that Twilight offers her after that. She's like, just make more friends. And she's like, and what if it doesn't work out? And it's like, well, then we'll like, that's the point. If you lose a friend, like, I can understand having a friend for like 50 years. Well, let me tell a story real quick. This will kind of go off topic, but there is a game, Zenless Zone Zero, and it has really great stories. And one of the stories is about one of the characters, and her name is Pulchra. And what happens is she is best friends with another girl, and they grow up together. They're basically poor, and they grow up together, and they do a lot of stuff together, and they open this business together. And they're older, so they've grown up for maybe like 10 years plus or whatever, maybe a little bit less, but years. And what happens is they're deciding who's going to be the leader of this business. And Pulchra's friend says, "I want you to be the leader of the business, and it's because I trust you, and we'll this and this and that." And Pulchra's like, "Cool, like let's then I'll do it." And like what happens is a bunch of money gets stolen, and Pulchra asks the girl, like, what happened? Like, where did the money go? And her friend is like, I don't know. You're the one who's supposed to be in charge. You're the one who's supposed to know where it is. So in reality what had happened was Pulchra's friend had tricked her and betrayed her and stole all the money, and she left. And so Pulchra felt betrayed, and she never believed, like, she didn't believe she could make friends anymore or anything like that. And like, that's way better of motivation for a character than like, oh, my friend of like 5 years old, like 5-6 years, he got his cutie mark and left. So now I started an entire village and enslaved people, or convinced them to buy into my idea of what equality is. And it's like, yeah, Pulchra never trusted anyone after that. But like Starlight, instead of just being like, I don't trust people to be friends, she like created a town and did all this crap. And like, that's why this is such a spicy take. I don't think people like not many people would agree that Starlight's past was like good or like well written. Next up, Discord and Celestia, Discord X Celestia, needs to be buried. Hate that ship. So this one I'm gonna say is more chill than spicy. I'd say it's kind of like down the middle, but I'd say it's a little bit more chill than spicy. It was a thing before, but I think it kind of died out, especially with like Fluttercord becoming a thing. I agree 100%. I hate the ship of Celestia and Discord. I think it's atrocious. I think it stemmed a lot from the episode, from the one where Discord gives her like a bouquet of flowers or whatever. Like, it's just nothing, and it never added up to anything, and it's bad. It's awful. Like, yeah, agreed 100%. It's trash, but I think that most people don't really care for it anyways. Then we get Equestria Girls is not canon. I'm going to say this one is spicy, but not by much. It's kind of down the middle again. There's a lot of people that hate Equestria Girls, and that's understandable. I completely just don't think this is true, because Sunset Shimmer is in the last episode, season 9, when they are showing all of the like diagrams and during the song. I would say, like, personally, I headcanon it as canon simply because I will not get rid of Sunset. Sunset is top 5 for me, and I love her, and I think she's amazing, but like I said, a lot of people don't like Equestria Girls, and that's completely understandable. Next up, the Daybreaker thing was stupid. The fans obsessed too much over a Starlight Glimmer nightmare. So this one, again, I'd say is spicy, and I completely agree with it. Daybreaker doesn't exist. I don't know how many times I can say this or how many times I could put it in videos. Daybreaker does not exist. There is no such thing as Daybreaker. It is established in that episode that Starlight Glimmer is having a nightmare. So Daybreaker is what Starlight thinks would happen if Celestia turned out like Luna, if she went dark. But there is no indication at any point in all of the canon that Celestia could possibly even go dark, that she would become this flaming horse. And the reason that it's a spicy take is because the fandom is stupid. There are so many stupid people that are like, Daybreaker is great and Daybreaker exists, and it's like, she doesn't exist, and that's just stupid. It's like so bad. I agree 100%. It's awful, and people ran with it, and they shouldn't have, and it's dumb. Next, we have Neisei apologized and adjusted his mindset. People who hate him are just as narrow-minded as he was. I don't know if this is a take. It pretty much is just a fact. Neisei changed and was like, I was wrong, and worked towards redeeming himself. So if you still hate him, yes, you are being bigoted and unfair to a character that literally said, I was completely incorrect, I will do the right thing now. That's more of a factual, not factual thing, and I'd say, yeah, I agree with that completely. Neisei was like a villain for like 10 seconds, and then he got redeemed, and like, you can hate him for not, like, you can hate him because he's a bad character or his redemption sucked or whatever, but to be like, oh, he's still a racist bigot or whatever, it's like, no, clearly he changed. Next is Cozy Glow deserved her punishment. She had numerous opportunities to change. So this one kind of teeters again. It's kind of in the middle, like 50-50 with people thinking. I've seen so many people say, oh yeah, she's a brat and she deserves it, and I've seen so many people say she's a child and it shouldn't have happened. I would completely agree. It doesn't matter if she's a child. She obviously is aware of what she's doing. She knows what she's doing is wrong, and she still does it. And if you have, if you have a clear mind and you're doing things that are objectively evil, then she's objectively evil, and she deserves the punishment that came to her. Pinkie Pie has many good qualities, but being her friend would be exhausting. I think this one is pretty standard, pretty chill. I made a video about Pinkie Pie being a bad character, but this also applies in the same sense. Like, she's too ADD type character that's just jumping around, and you're just like, sometimes people want quiet. She's like the Key and Peele sketch I mentioned a while back about partying all the time and stuff. I mean, that was the entire point of the episode, Party of One. It was like, we just had a party and you want to have a party again tomorrow, and it's like, people don't function like that. So yeah, I don't think it's a stretch to say that in reality, having a friend like that who even acts like that, you'd be like, oh my gosh, sometimes you just have to get away, and you'd be like, I don't even want to do that. Sunburst is irritating. Him being shipped with Starlight is pretty insulting to her character. So this is another one that I'd kind of call down the middle. I'd say it leans more towards chill than more towards spicy. I don't know a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, Sunburst is great. And on top of that, when you see shipping stuff with Starlight, you kind of rarely see the Starlight Sunburst stuff, but you say way more Trixie Starlight. So I'd say even in that sense, people would rather have Trixie be with Starlight than Sunburst be with Starlight. I personally think Sunburst is incredibly beta. He seems like just the most beta, not even like male, but like beta as like far as a character goes. And it is insulting to her character. I'd agree with that completely, because she's such a complex and interesting character, and Sunburst is not. He just is a guy who is brought in every so often to do certain things to further other characters' stories. Like Starlight's in that episode. Starlight's in the episode where he starts getting along with Twilight and stuff. He's just not. I don't think he's enough for Starlight, and I'd say even Trixie is a better choice than him for like a couple. But like I said, Starlight Twilight is my OTP too. So. The Yak episodes are a skip. The Yaks in general add nothing to the show. Yona was the worst of the young six and should have been a Kieran. The Kieran needed much more screen time than the Yaks. So I'm not really sure what to do with this one as far as chill or spicy, because this one is as like down the middle as you can get, I think. Well, maybe it's not. I don't really know, because people don't talk about the Yaks much. I personally hate the Yaks. I think they're awful. Saying Yona is the worst of the main six, or young six, is kind of like... It's kind of insulting, but also kind of not, because, like Sandbar, I like Sandbar, I like, Gallus, I like Ocelis, I like, Silver, who else is there, who am I for, oh, and, what's her name, I always get her, Cinder, no, not Cinder, Smolder, like, I like all of them. So saying Yona is the weakest is like, yeah, I don't really hate Yona, but I do hate the way the Yaks are and how they talk and how their culture is and how, like, I'd agree 100% with that, but I don't really, like, people don't really talk about the Yaks much, so I don't really know what the overall, like, consensus is of the Yaks. Saying that it should have been a Kieran is like, I think anybody would have said, oh, yes, that's a way better idea because, like, from what I've seen of the Kiorans, everyone loves them. And that would have been great. So, like, it's kind of hard to judge this one based on anything other than my own personal preference, which would be, yeah, I 100% agree. I think that having more episodes with the Kieran would have been better than having the Yak episodes, because the Yak episodes are really bad. Even the ones that don't have the Yaks primarily in them, like Yakety Sax, which is just about an instrument of the Yaks, it was just annoying. So, like, yeah. And finally, the School of Friendship was a bad plot device. Too many wasted episodes that doled down the main characters in an attempt to make us more interested in the young six. Yeah, I think this one is pretty standard. There are the minority of people who think that the young six are great and the school is great and stuff, but I think the majority, I think it's pretty easy to see that the majority of people did not like the school or anything they did there. Even the people who do like it, most of them, or a good bit of them, say that it should have been relegated to its own show and stuff like that. So I think this take is pretty standard. Luma said, my comment got deleted or something, but Snowdrop should have been in the actual show, and Twi is the hottest pony. So this one is kind of, like, impossible to say chill or not, because it's not really a take, I don't think. Snowdrop is an animation from a long time ago about a blind pony. It's good animation, heartfelt, nice. I don't see why they should have been, like, she should have been in the show, though. Like, what would she have done? Just, I mean, there's no, like, real evidence as to why she should have been in the show or why she shouldn't have been in the show. It's kind of like, she wasn't in the show, so, like, she's not. She should have been in the show. For what plot? Like, we got so much not development on certain characters in the show that adding a show that's not canon to the show, to what end would that have been? If you say, oh, well, they should have put her in to flesh out the sisters, like, kind of like how they fleshed out Luna a little bit in the animation. It's like, but the animation is there. The fan animation is there. So, like, how would that change anything? And then, on the subject of Twi being the hottest pony, I mean, up to you. I'm sure that there are girls that I find pretty that other guys would not find pretty, and there are girls that guys, like, vice versa. And same for women. I'm sure there are guys that I would be like, oh, that dude's super hot, and girls would be like, oh, no, he's not, and those same girls would be like, oh, this guy's super hot, and I'd be like, oh, no, it's not. So, like, that's kind of up to you. Mr. Vin said, I actually like the idea of Twilight hooking up with Flash Sentry in the show and wish they continued it. The fans never really gave Flash's pony version a chance, and was a huge missed opportunity for Twilight to have her own personal guard at her castle who could have been a great male pony addition to the cast of the main six. It would be cool to see an actually capable royal guard at Twilight's side, along with another great friend for Spike to have at the castle. Yeah, so this one is pretty spicy. With what I said earlier about EQG and Karis's take on it not being canon, a lot of people don't like EQG, so Flash Sentry already being a thing, not giving Pony Flash a chance is the same as not, those people not giving any of EQG a chance, and a lot of the fandom did not like EQG, so why would they give Flash a chance at all? Flash is a weird character. Like, I already think that mentality is bad. The take of he would have been a great male character. We have shows with a lot of males. We have shows with a lot of females. We have shows with a mix of males and females. And MLP is one of those shows where you kind of go because it has the female characters, right? Like, it has the main six, it has the princesses, it has, like, obviously it has some, like, some very minor, like Spike, like Big Macintosh, like Shining Armor and stuff. But mostly people that have watched, like, MLP, like, My Little Pony is a brand marketed towards girls, with girls. And girls are the primary thing. And, like, that's fine. Why do we need to put... That's, like, one of the reasons that Hitch pisses me off so much in G5. We don't need a G5, like, male main character to all of a sudden be a pony. I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to speculate. Perhaps somebody could fill me in the comments. I would assume that all of the main casts of the earlier seasons, not seasons, but the earlier gens, Gen 1 through 3, that there was no male ponies as part of the main cast. And that's fine. You don't need to be like, oh, we need to have a mixture. If they want to make all of the ponies females, then that's fine. And we don't need additions to this. But then, like, you get a hold of stuff and it's like, oh, the brony community blew up. And what happened after the brony community blew up? Oh, how convenient that right directly in the next gen, Hitch came out, and he was a male in the main cast. And it's like, we didn't need that. That's you think you're catering to people, but that's just stupid. We've not had that for forever. We didn't have it in G4, and you can say, oh, well, Spike is not part of the main cast. That's why there's the main six. Yeah, that's I don't think. I think that Flash just got the double whammy of being like, we don't need a male character in this for us to be interested in. It's especially really dumb because, like, in G4, in Friendship is Magic, they allude again to the whole Applejack Rainbow Dash thing. Like, people will be like, oh, they were together, and it's like, well, then why didn't you just do this, like, similar things in Equestria Girls? And I guess it's just because they didn't want to, like, tie up into whatchamacallit, and they had to have, like, a male character that... It was just that. Like, a lot of people just don't like Flash. He's kind of just there as, like a plot point that you have to fill in as far as a high school setting. Oh, look, it's a high school setting. Twilight's there. It's awkward, but there's a guy she likes. There's a human guy she likes. Twilight, who is a pony, who would be like, this is kind of weird. I've never seen humans before. I don't... Hands? Oh, this is weird. I have fingers. No, but this guy, oh, I'm kind of attracted to him. It just feels like... It just feels like corporate writing, or like writing for the sake of, like, already established norms, and that sucks. Pastor Cody Mitchell said, oh, and I don't know if this is hot or not, but I've always found the Marble Mac argument tiring, and honestly a smokescreen, because 1, the show never actually said that they were related, 2, that happens, it's not at all unusual, 3, Sugar Mac was just so random, if anything she should have been with Feathers, and 4, oh, Featherbangs. And 4, this is the big one. Marble's heartbreaking scene in The Best Gift Ever. They 100% did not have to do her like that, but they did to own the fans. Okay, so this one kind of goes all over the place. It's kind of weird, so I'll go for point real quick. The argument is stupid because Pinkie is kind of just dumb, and they're not related. As far as canon goes, nothing says that they're related. In fact, they point in the opposite direction. But, I don't know. The writers later after that are kind of stupid, so... Who knows? You said that the show never actually said they were related. Yeah, and it's like not even implied that they're related, really. It's kind of just Pinkie wants to be related to everyone because she's excited and wants to be family with people, and it makes them closer. Then you said that happens. It's not at all unusual. I don't know what you mean by that, but if you mean cousins, like, getting together, that's kind of weird. Not gonna lie. 3, Sugar Mac was just so random. If anything, she should have been with... I mean, it wasn't random if they didn't do the whole episode with... if they didn't do the episode obviously implying that there was some sort of romantic relationship between Marble and Big Macintosh. And then 4, Marble's heartbreaking... Yeah, I refuse to watch Best Gift Ever. I think it's garbage. I think that the writers of that episode, especially whoever wanted to put that scene with Marble crying, they deserve to get hit by a car. Yeah, no apology, sorry, that's just douchebaggy. It was just malicious, and there was no reason to put that. Nobody would have even acknowledged or remembered that was a thing. Like, everybody was like, oh, it's fine, Mac is with Sugar Belle now. I guess they maybe just forgot about Marble, but they were like, nope, we're gonna put this malicious part into this episode, and I was like, alright, well, I'm definitely not acknowledging that at all. But yeah, I don't really know where to go with this, because you kind of went in different directions, and if you're implying that marrying your cousin isn't weird, or like getting with your cousin isn't weird, that's kind of weird. Ray MMA the Pegasus said, what if Starlight, Glimmer, and Rainbow Dash have one secret they kept to themselves? Is Starlight likes kites, and Rainbow Dash likes the spy, but they kept that secret to themselves. So this isn't really a take. I don't know how to answer this one. What if Starlight and Rainbow Dash had a secret each, and they kept that secret to themselves? I don't know. That'd be like a story or something. Maybe I should be more clear on what takes are. A take is something that you perceive of the show or that you think of a certain thing, and that the hotter the take is, the less people that would agree with you. So, like, a really, really hot take probably for MLP would be something like, let me think. Well, a really hot take is like the one I said. Starlight isn't a villain. Starlight is not a villain is a hot take. Because people will come at you with knives and pitchforks and be like, you are incorrect, Starlight was a villain, she did this and this and this. That is a hot take. A cold take is something like, Twilight Sparkle is smart. Well, yeah, obviously she is. It's shown in the show. So, like, with this one, I'm sorry, I don't really know how to reply to it. I guess they just have secrets that they kept. And finally, we have Sourdough GT, who said, Alicorn Twilight was well written. Her personality wasn't inconsistent, she just had character development. So this one is pretty spicy. A lot of people did not like Alicorn Twilight. A lot of people thought she should have stayed as Unicorn. A lot of people still don't like Alicorn Twilight. I would personally say I agree 100% with this. Twilight became an Alicorn. It might have been too soon. Like, that's probably a better argument. Twilight should not have become an Alicorn that soon. But even then, I think it's fine. 2 years that we saw Twilight studying under Princess Celestia, and that's not even counting before that, because obviously she was studying under Celestia before, and we hadn't seen like that development as well. So Twilight obviously had been around Celestia and learning from her for a very long time. In fact, like, depending on how you view Cadence's ascension, Twilight turning Luna back into Luna, transforming her from Nightmare Moon, could have been a catalyst to turn Twilight into an Alicorn, and that could have made like even sense. So I really don't get the hate. I understand, like, it being soon, like that I get, but like, especially after when Twilight clearly shows that she deserves to be an Alicorn, and she's just really, 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 really smart and fixes 9/10 of the problems in all of Equestria. Like, I think it's just senseless anger and hate towards the character, and that's just dumb. But yeah, I'd agree. I think this is a hot take because a lot of people really don't like the idea of Twilight becoming an Alicorn. And there you have it. That's round 3, and we're done. Thank you for all of the takes, even if some of them were a little weird or didn't really make sense to me. I will get around to more in the next video. There's still probably a good, like, 20-ish to get to. But as more come in, I guess I'll just keep making videos, because why not? It's not a big deal, and I don't mind listening to some of these crazy things that people have to say. Hopefully you guys are having fun. Well, you guys and gals are having as much fun as I am making these. But yeah, the next one should be out around next week, and we'll see what craziness we get then. Bye.